Hello and good afternoon to all our viewers. My name is Madame Marola and I'm the summit anchor for day 2 of the Startup Summit powered by Strength Africa and Taiwo Adepoju, the Startup Specialist. We've been having a great time on the summit so far. And right now we are in the final keynote address of the summit. We've had great sessions already going on. We've had things about funding for startups. We've already had sessions whereby how you can learn to grow your business from a micro level to become small, medium, and become a giant in global business. Right now, we are about to have the one and only, the indescribable, the amazing Fela Durotoye to give his keynote address. And for those of you that don't know who he is, permit me to read his bio for you so that you can start to salivate and get ready for what's about to come. Fela Durotoye is an inspirational speaker, leadership coach, and business consultant. He's recognized as Africa's leading business growth expert and renowned management consultant, and an executive leadership coach with over 27 years experience of coaching CEOs and consulting for organizations to enable them achieve exponential business growth in their key performance areas. His business leadership network, BLN, provides full service support to these businesses that include professional services, corporate trainers, career professionals, business mentors, angel investors, and the likes. His clients in the oil and gas sector include Shell Petroleum Development Corporation, Uwando, Total, Adax Petroleum, and so many others. In the manufacturing and FMCG space, his clients include Lafarge, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Nestle, Sanofi, Aventis, and Pfizer. He presently sits on the board of several companies across the spectrum of Nigeria's economic space. Fela Durotoye has also been at the forefront of the movement to build a new Nigeria for over a decade. He is renowned for history making on the national and global stage. The Value Infusion Project, which Fela Durotoye started, is the largest non-governmental effort at reorientating the citizens of a nation and integrating a value system into our nation's consciousness in recent times. Fela Durotoye contested in the 2019 general elections for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the Alliance for New Nigeria Party. His movement inspired the emergence of several candidates to run for executive and legislative office at the state and federal levels. Fela Durotoye is the recipient of several social, industry, and national awards for his leadership development and nation-building activities. He is also a certified leadership coach of the John Maxwell team. Fela Durotoye is the recipient of several social and industry awards. He's also an alumnus of Kennedy School of Government Executive Education Program at the prestigious Harvard University, Boston, Massachusetts, as well as attending High Impact Leadership for a Better Society program at the prestigious Yale University, New Haven, Connecticut, and the Future Candidate Program at the Leadership Institute, Arlington, Virginia, all in the United States of America. He's a guest lecturer on leadership at the prestigious Stanford University Seed Program to CEOs of businesses with operations across the African continent. Fela's commitment to business growth is anchored on his unflinching belief that nations thrive when businesses grow. He is married to Tara, a renowned beauty entrepreneur and chief executive officer of the House of Tara International, and together they have 3 sons. Ladies and gentlemen, please give the biggest virtual welcome that you have for our keynote speaker of this afternoon, Mr. Fela Durotoye.
Oh, wow. Merola, that is one of the best intros that I have gotten this year. I love it. We have to get you to please help me do a voiceover for that intro. We have to go on that. So I'll use it anyway.
With all pleasure. I am more than happy
for such a
to
beautiful
do that.
introduction. Exceptionally well read. Thank you. And thank you to Taiwo Adepoju and the leadership team of the Summit, Startup Summit Nigeria. I'm sure that you guys have been having an amazing time.
Yes, we have, and we
I
know
hear of
that it can only get
all the
better.
things. I'm wondering, when you now start coming at the back end and you say, like everybody has said it all, but I hope that at
No,
least I will
we're
echo
working
away.
on the principle that, things become better as we go. So the latter shall be greater than the former. So
But
why not put Fela Durotoye at the very end, whereby they say that the
oh,
bottom pot is always the sweetest. So,
you're very
so we
kind.
want people to get the very best that you have to offer. So I'm not going to put a timer on you. I'm just going to allow you to share whatever you have for our viewers. So the screen and the floor is all yours. Thank you very much.
So that we can have a few more minutes for questions, if I can. But hey, everyone, how are you doing? It's the end of the year. It's for many of you who are already entrepreneurs. I'm sure this is the end, probably closing on the end of your financial year. I'm sure that it's been an interesting year. For some people, it's been a very tough and difficult year. For others, it's just been a year that has opened up new opportunities and having to learn how to do things differently. Thank you so much, Strengths Africa. I'm glad to be here, right? It's great to be connected. I don't know if there's anybody else that is there I can acknowledge. Thank you for connecting. But, I love to speak to entrepreneurs. And the reason why is because I believe so much in entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur myself for the last 20 years or so, and having helped entrepreneurs all through my career, which I started in 1992. So 28 years ago, I started as a venture capitalist and a project management consultant. So helping people who had great ideas to see how do we birth those ideas, how do we fund those ideas, whether it's using debt or equity, what kind of leverage can we create? And so I've been committed to entrepreneurs for the last 28 years of my life. And it's helped me on my journey to not only be as a business consultant, but also as a leadership coach, coaching entrepreneurs on how to be able to bring clarity to what it is that they do, how they go about it, and most importantly, being able to crystallize the idea in their minds. For the kind of organization they want to build. What's the essence of that organization? What's the vision for the organization? What are the values that you would want to see and develop into the culture of the organization? And then as a business management consultant, helping to build some kind of alignment with the whole team, the CEO, executive team, management team, functional leaders, and the workforce, so that we're all, in a way, all rallied around a core strategy, a core plan, so that we can, see how to deliver great results. And of course, as a motivational speaker, what I've had to do over the last 28 years is really get engaged with providing the essence, the reason why the individuals within the organization must be their best, must give their best, must be part of an amazing team, so that in overall, when the people become true leaders, whether they're in management position or not, but within the organization, when they know why they're doing what they're doing, then they would be able to do it better, and most times be able to exceed their individual goals, so that collectively the organization is able to exceed its own corporate goals. That's what I do for a living. That's what I've done for organizations. I started my company, VIP Consulting, in the year 2001. And I started writing business plans for entrepreneurs, before then going in and beginning to teach, more about how to execute the business plan. So, I am glad to be at home with entrepreneurs, especially at the Startup Summit. And I think startup is a very important part of the journey, because once you get it right at the beginning, then it's easy for you to grow. I love to say things like this, and if you can help me type it out, I'll be very happy. Dream big, start small, and grow fast. It's the biggest kind of advice I can give to anyone who's at the startup phase. You know, dream big, but then make sure you are ready to start small, and then you're ready to grow fast. And in growing fast, you must grow strong. And in growing strong, you must build the structure that enables you to sustain that growth, so that you are able to in a way, build an institution, not just an organization. I'm going to say that again, and I think it's very important. It's important that we are able to dream big, see the big picture, know where we're going, and big vision. Not only is it attractive to the very best of talent, investors, and all of that, customers are in a way, dream big is sexy. I hope you allow me to say stuff like that, but it is sexy for investors. It's sexy for employees. It's sexy for partners. People are willing to give credit to someone who has a big dream. People are willing to, I would rather bank on someone who has a big dream with a plan of how to start small than to put my money into someone who has a small dream. Yes, it is true. Big dreams have great risk attached to it. But the way to minimize the risk is then the way you start. So if I can see that you're starting right, if I can see that you're starting small, but that the journey is something that is really going to be great, then I'm excited to get on the journey with you. But you've got to learn how to grow fast, because growth is by far the most important thing to entrepreneurs and investors. Growth, growth, growth. If there's one thing entrepreneurs are and must be responsible for, more than anything else, the one thing you can't outsource is you must be the chief growth officer of your organization. You've got to be responsible for the growth. You've got to keep seeing how are we growing, where are we growing, where is the new opportunities, which ones, what are we doing better, what are we doing new, where are we moving to. Growth is by far the greatest responsibility of leadership that an entrepreneur carries. So dream big. Don't scale down on your dreams, but start small. Be realistic, and then see how to grow fast. But the other thing I said is grow strong. And in growing strong, you're going to have to say, how do we build the systems, the strategy, the structure, and the culture of the organization, so that the organization is able to, is able to continue to grow regardless of who is there and who is not. And that's what I call an institution. It's to make sure that as an institution, you are, listen to this, you are deliberately running your business in a way that it would outlast the founder, that's usually the startup entrepreneur, and the people who would run it later. So institutions are organizations that will outlast the founders and the current operators and pass on from generation to generation. Now, clearly, not every organization is an institution, but every institution is clearly an organization that is deliberately, intentionally run and managed in a way that it would outlast. And I want you from the startup phase to have that in mind. You must build the systems, the strategy, and the structure so that you have a culture that outlasts the founders. You have a business that is transgenerational. And it doesn't happen when the business goes big. It happens at the beginning. I remember being in a meeting with Mr. Fela Durotoye, and he was sharing how from when Guarantee Trust Bank was literally a bank with a license, yet on a dining table, on his dining table, and him and the first deputy managing director, Mr. Taya Aderokum, would resume to Guarantee Trust Bank on their table, the dining table. That's where they would resume. And they were diligent every day, work from morning till night, and then they will close. They'll clear the table and he will have dinner. And then the next morning, the two of them will be back on the dining table. And he said something that was very interesting. He said they never intended to build a bank. They always intended to build a financial institution that would outlast both of them. See? So even from the planning stage, the startup stage, is when the DNA of the organization must have been transformed to become an institution. From that planning stage, from the startup stage. So any entrepreneur that is only thinking about how to make money, oh, come on, you're missing the point. You've got to start building something that will remain after you have retired. You must begin to build it from today. And so I am extremely excited to be speaking at the Startup Summit, especially on a theme building a dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nigeria. And I know that this thing sounds to some people here, building a dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nigeria. Well, of course, it depends on who you're speaking to, and the essence of my take on this is really speaking to entrepreneurs as opposed to if I was sitting down and this was a conference where I was speaking to those who are in government or agencies or banks or things like that. So my take on this is going to have the kind, how do you as an entrepreneur, help in the building of a dynamic ecosystem, especially for Nigeria? And so let me start by quickly saying that, I believe that entrepreneurs are by far the greatest gifts that any nation can have. And then just all you have to do is look at the history of all the great nations in the world, and you will know what I'm saying, right? I mean, is it the United States? Is it the United Kingdom? Go and look at every great nation that has become a strong economy, and you will find at the backbone of all of these nations entrepreneurs. It was entrepreneurs that really built the great economy of the United States. Whether you're talking about people like Vanderbilt that built the railroads, or you're talking about people like Andrew Carnegie that really built the steel industry, or you're talking about people like, and if you haven't watched this, I would like you to please go take some time, especially over the weekend or whatever it is, just watch the men who built America. It's a beautiful documentary. And it speaks to you about the Industrial Revolution that literally brought America to the forefront of the world. And it was powered by entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are very special people. They are literally the catalyst for not only social advancement, but national development and economic prosperity for the whole nation. Your economy grows when you have entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs. And that happens for two reasons. Let me put it this way. Entrepreneurs are very special because they have the ability to identify problems, create solutions to those problems, but in doing so, they do it sustainably. And how do they do that sustainably? By making sure that they do it profitably. Okay, so this is very important. Entrepreneurs are only truly entrepreneurs because they identify problems, they solve them, and they do so profitably. When entrepreneurs cannot find a way to profitably solve problems, they will soon be out of business. They cannot grow. And I told you, growth is by far the most important thing. So it's growing your sales, it's growing your profits, it's growing the market share, it's growing the value that you create, the brand value and the shareholder value. I'm going to say that again for just somebody who just wants to know. This is I don't want to go into the technical phase of it, but the 5 things you've got to be able to grow. You've got to grow your top line, which is your revenue, your sales. Okay, that's the first thing. You got to grow your bottom line, which is your profit. Okay, then you've got to grow your market share, and you got to grow your brand value, and lastly, you got to grow your shareholders value. So in doing these things, I like to say that there are those amazing 4 things that entrepreneurs do. Number 1, as they create solutions and solve problems, you will see something called social change. In other words, the society gets better because entrepreneurs are finding profitable ways of solving the problems of the society, whether it's in education, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in transportation, whether it's in feeding, whether it's in clothing, whether it's in think about it. Entrepreneurs find problems. They really think problems are really sexy, and they're thinking, oh my God, how do we solve these problems? So entrepreneurs don't get intimidated by problems. They get excited by problems. Why? Because they are looking at those problems through the lens of solutions that they carry. So entrepreneurs solve problems, and therefore they bring about social change. But because entrepreneurs do it profitably, they also create wealth. So they create solutions and create social advancement, and then they create wealth and economic progress. So in doing these two things, entrepreneurs usually have to leverage on the talents and skills of more than just themselves. So they will create jobs, and in creating jobs, what they typically do is to share the prosperity so that all of us become prosperous. So I want you to think about that. Entrepreneurs create, number one, they create value by solving problems. Number two, they create wealth by doing it profitably. Number three, they create jobs. And lastly, they create prosperity. Four things. Do you want me to do that again? Okay, I'll say it again. Entrepreneurs create value when they solve problems. Entrepreneurs create wealth when they solve problems profitably. Entrepreneurs create jobs because they need to leverage on more than just themselves to make it happen. And in doing that, entrepreneurs create prosperity for all. And as they grow, that prosperity begins to spread. And their staff begin to, have money to be able to pay for school fees. And they lift people, families out of poverty because of the kind of work that they're doing. So I salute you very specially if you're an entrepreneur in the house. I really, really salute you because you are the lifeline. You are the hope of not only Nigeria, you are the hope of Africa, you are the hope of the world. And if you go and look at any country that has grown, you will always find entrepreneurs at the nexus of that growth, of that economic advancement, of that social advancement. Okay, so let's quickly now talk about this. Therefore, when nations are going to grow and when they would, in a way, see change, it's going to be because entrepreneurs are actively getting excited about solving problems. It's because entrepreneurs are, in a way, able to identify problems, in a way, able to develop the entrepreneurial skill, and then deploy it, go and try, and give it a try. And when they try, if the environment helps them, they can strive and thrive, and they will grow ahead, and everything good happens when that happens. So any nation that you will see an advancement, whether it's what you think of as improvement, just things getting better, you will find that entrepreneurs are able to identify ways to make things better, are able to know exactly how to go about making things better, are able to find the level of support that will help them to try to make things better, whether it's in capital, whether it's in, especially seed capital, venture capital, just the capacity to be able to find incubators, places to be able to start, whatever it is, they have to be able to try and start the idea, and then they have to be able to thrive. Any nation that supports those four things, that challenges and inspires entrepreneurs to dream and to identify problems and to dream up solutions, that nation will thrive. Any nation that is able to inspire its entrepreneurs to look for ways to start solving those problems rather than just having business plans that they keep in their drawers, and then actually get towards starting it, making it easier, whether it's in registering their business, starting, getting finance, getting, loans and working capital, finding talent, finding skills, support, consultants that can support them, encouragement, mentors, advisors, all of the things that entrepreneurs need. Any nation that can make those things happen for them, that nation is going to see accelerated development. So, in my opinion, the ecosystem that will help to transform nations, and transformation, as you know, is a significant change. Transformation is a significant change, whereas what is today does not look anything like what it's going to be tomorrow. And what is today is nothing like what it used to be. So transformational change comes when entrepreneurs come up with brand new ideas of doing things that exist, and it's called disruption. So you'd look at like Uber, for instance. Uber is a disruption of a taxi industry that has been for several years, almost as far back as cars have been running. But that's a transformational change. Transformational change is what happens when, Jobberman, for instance, changes the way people find jobs. Previously, for many years, we used to go and look at Tuesday Guardian. Tuesday Guardian was the place where you go and look for, or you go and meet, agencies and all of that. Then Jobberman came along, and it became so much easier for you to just go on the internet and you can find the jobs that you're looking for. My point being, it's amazing how entrepreneurs can disrupt the status quo and make things remarkably different. That kind of change is called transformational change. So in building that transformational change, there are 4 major environments the entrepreneur can play in to be able to be a part of this ecosystem that builds the nation. So I believe very strongly that Nigeria, for instance, has been blessed so much by God, probably more than any other nation in the world. And in my opinion, I honestly think that if we have the right ecosystem for entrepreneurs, Nigeria can become one of the greatest nations in as little as maybe 10 years, 5 to 10 years, probably even by 2025, if we can have the right ecosystem. So let me talk about these 4 key components of what makes the ecosystem that an entrepreneur must have. The first one I would say is the personal component of the ecosystem. So the first component is personal. The personal environment that the entrepreneur creates within himself or herself. The second one is what I call the corporate or the organizational environment. The third one is what I call the industry environment. And the last one is what I call the external or the general operating environment. Okay, so I'm going to say that those 4 things again. These are the 4 components of what makes an entrepreneurial ecosystem as far as I'm concerned. Number 1 is the personal environment, the ecosystem of the entrepreneur in himself or herself. Number 2, the corporate or the organizational environment, institutional environment. That means the organization that the entrepreneur is finding, or the enterprise that the entrepreneur is finding expression through. The third one is the industry environment. And that's the collection of enterprises and the way that they interact with each other to create the norms and the standards of the industry. And then the last one is that every industry works within a general operating environment. And it's important that if we're going to have a dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem, we've got to be able to find a way to manage each and every one of these 4 ecosystems. So let's talk very quickly about the personal ecosystem. The personal ecosystem is really what is the environment that the entrepreneur is living in within himself or herself. Great entrepreneurs create an atmosphere within themselves and around themselves that supports and inspires them to look for solutions, creative solutions to problems that they can identify and they're passionate about. And so you will realize that the self-talk of entrepreneurs is very important. What do you say to yourself? Every time you see a problem, do you complain about the problem? Do you expect somebody else to solve the problem? Or are you willing to be able to say, oh, I wonder how? Too many people who never get anything done are very quick to complain. They always know who is not doing what, but they never ask themselves, what should I be doing? That self-talk, the inner conversations that goes on within an entrepreneur is by far the first most important thing you have to regulate. Don't join the group of people that are constantly feeding themselves with bad news and telling themselves how bad the country is, how nothing can get happen, how this Nigeria is finished, how this. You cannot be creative whilst you're using destructive words for the environment that you hope to be able to transform. Nigeria is exactly the way it is because the idea in your head has not yet found full expression. Problems are meant to be solved, not complained about. And when we find those who solve those problems profitably, guess what? We will pay them to do so. They will make a living, they will make a difference, and they will make all of us happy, and we will grow. So let me start by saying, please manage the environment that you put yourself in and the one that surrounds you immediately. Have a positive image. Have a positive, your value system is going to be critical. And I hope I'll be able to quickly share with you before my time is up, how the 10 values that I think are going to be important to an entrepreneur. But let me tell you, as an entrepreneur, be careful about this gadget, because what it does is it has access to the 2 gateways to your soul. Number 1, you can see, and number 2, you can hear. Be careful who speaks into your ears, and be careful what you read. Listen, if I don't have the capacity to to make a difference on something, if I can't do anything about it, I try to keep it out of my space, because I need to protect my space so that I can do something about the things I can do something about. I'm going to say that again. If there's something out of my control, why do I need to think and feed it into my heart? Because it's going to disable me from my ability to do what is within my control. So for me, it is critical that I protect my eyes and I protect my ears. I feed my soul with the things that encourage me to be creative, with the things that encourage me to solve problems, with the people who don't see impossibilities. And there are 10 values that usually help to build a lifestyle that will create great entrepreneurial success. And great entrepreneurial success is important for the dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nigeria to thrive. So your personal ecosystem is extremely important. The second one is your organizational, your corporate, or your institutional ecosystem. In other words, the culture of the organization that you are building. What is very interesting is that your personal values, I want somebody to please help me type this out. The entrepreneur's personal values soon become the culture of the organization that the entrepreneur is leading. In other words, your personal values will soon find expression in the organizational culture. Why? Because most times the people who join you want to be like you. So if you're someone who has strong, good values, the people who are coming to work for you will soon realize that those values become your organizational standards, and they would rise up to those standards. They will live up to those standards. So for me, I think it's critical that you realize that your personal ecosystem will soon affect the organizational ecosystem, meaning your personal values. If you value excellence, it will soon show in the quality of products, the quality of service, the quality of people, the quality of everything that your organization does. Why? Because to a large extent, the organization is a reflection of the entrepreneur. And the values of the organization, or the values of the entrepreneur, soon get translated to become the values and the culture of the organization. So the first component of building a dynamic ecosystem is the personal value system of the entrepreneur. The second one is the organizational culture, the organizational and institutional culture. The third one is the industry culture. And to a large extent, if you're going to be a great entrepreneur and you want to add value to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, then your values soon become the organization's culture, and your organization soon begins to set industry standards. The level of excellence, the level of the quality of your product, the quality of your service delivery, the quality, these things soon become the standard for those who you would think as competitors in the industry to rise up to, because they don't want to be out of the industry. And so when your organization sets the standards and customers love your products, love your service, love the experience, you will build not only the organizational reputation, but before you know it, you will begin to build the industry. And if you are truly a great leader, then success of your organization is not enough. The industry itself must do great. I mean, I know that, for instance, many people remember how, a lot of people say to me, Fela, the way you have built the personal development industry in Nigeria and the coaching industry, and we've seen so many public speakers rise. And what happens is a lot of people are talking about what is unique about the public speaking space and what you would call the personal development space. They say, Fela, we noticed something about this industry, that there's a lot of collaboration. There's not cutthroat competition. And that, to a large extent, is something I'm very grateful that we've had the opportunity to contribute to. Look, there is enough space for everybody. You cannot serve 200 million people by yourself. Your organization cannot serve 200 million people. There's nothing wrong with being able to collaborate with other people within your industry to build a greater industry. My wife, Tara, has done this. Yes, whilst she was a pioneer in the makeup industry, right, we realized that it wasn't about her. It wasn't enough for House of Tara to succeed. We had to build an industry. What that meant was you're able to then build other makeup artists through training schools, equipping them by giving them professional, makeup kits, brushes, and all the things they need to have to thrive. But beyond that, building collaboration and setting standards together. So a few years ago, Tara started a program called MINC, Makeup Artists in Nigeria Collaboration and Conference. And what they would do is they would bring somebody from abroad, some kind of, hugely admired makeup artist, whether it was Bontricia or one of those people, and they would come and they would teach all the makeup artists, whether they were working for House of Tara, they are not working for House of Tara, they own their own business, they teach them the skills that are at the cutting edge. What does that do? It's growing the industry. If we're going to build a collaborative and a dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem, you've got to want more than your own personal and corporate success. You must want others to succeed in the industry. When the industry grows, we all have room for growth. I promise you, you will not lose anything by lighting the candles of other people. Collaboration usually gives longer term success to everyone. It is much better. But one of the ways that you do that is to make sure that you become the industry standard. Make sure that your level of excellence is so great, but don't keep it to yourself. But make sure it's so great that other people who should have been competitors are inspired by you. And then lastly, there is the general environment, operating environment, business environment that all industries will operate in. And generally a lot of people and entrepreneurs try and think that, well, it's that, we can sit down and complain about it. The banks, the interest rates are too high for loans. We don't have anywhere for us to get talent. The government is not helping with the policies. And I always say, hey, remember, you may not be able to control certain things, but it doesn't mean you cannot influence them. So my question is, what are entrepreneurs doing about solving the problems that exist within the ecosystem, the overall business ecosystem? Well, one of the kind of ideas that I've always had is entrepreneurs need to get together in a way that they can represent the industry in policy formulation ideas to government. Rarely do you find entrepreneurs coming together because we're so competitive. So we can't even come together and have one voice and go and speak to the people who write the policy. And most of the time, the people who write the policy, at least in a democratic setting, many of them are political appointees, meaning they get the appointment not because they are technically sound at the business, your business or your industry, but because they are there, but they have power. So what do? Rather than complain about it, you gather together with some of your guys, create ideas, policy framework ideas, go and present it to them. Tell them, sir, this is what we want to do. It is called lobbying in the United States. Lobbying is a dirty word outside great countries. There are lobbyists in all the developed countries. If you call it lobbying here, they think it's corruption. What lobbyists do is they understand who are the policy makers. Let us engage them. Let us teach them. Let us enlighten them. Let us expose them to information. Let us give them a strategy, knowing fully well that when they succeed, we will succeed. And when we succeed, that becomes their boasting. You've got to find a way to collaborate, private and public sector. You have to. You cannot leave the public sector to itself and say, me, I don't want to have anything to do with them. You have to. But the public sector does not engage individuals easily. The public sector embraces collaboration. So if you have not yet had collaborative industry culture, then it's much more difficult for you to be able to influence the final leg of that ecosystem, which I call the environment, the external business environment. Right? Who's writing the bills that the lawmakers will present? Who's writing it? Who are the people on the committees that affect your industry in the state assembly, in the National Assembly? Do you know? You should know. Because every committee member is somebody you should target and give information and give a plan of action, write a bill for, so that when you present them with those things, it helps them to have something to shine with. And as they shine, they create the kind of environment you want. As you do that, they get to win at their next election, which takes me to the other thing. You know, a lot of times, Benny talk to many entrepreneurs, says, no, we don't want to have anything to do with politics. But is it not politics that determines who gets into government? And the people who get into government determine the policy that affects your business. So it is important for you to start thinking of, how do I get involved? And sometimes it's not about, being overtly out there and behind any one candidate, but write policies and give to all the candidates. And when one candidate brings it up and says it, maybe there are another candidates, even the winning party can adopt that thing and say, look, this is something that sounds like a great idea. So if I were you, write, even if you're going to give it to APC, give it to PDP, give it to all the parties, give it to all the candidates, write bills, write policies, write money for them. Hello? I hope you can hear me. When you write those things, it will ultimately come back to you as the kind of policies that would shape the environment, the business environment that you're in, and so you can thrive. So for us to build a dynamic ecosystem in Nigeria, the 4 components of that ecosystem are the personal ecosystem, the values that shape the thinking, the behavior, the decision-making, the actions of the entrepreneur, the organizational culture that is an expression of that entrepreneur's dreams, and that's what builds the dreams, builds the solutions, builds the systems, the experience that the customers get. It's the institution that delivers that change through their products and services. And then there is the industry, where together we are able to all grow because you and your organization have set a standard, a benchmark for all to aspire to become. And as they aspire to become like you, and to, then they grow, and together everyone grows. And lastly, together we're able to then sit down and engage. And I know that sometimes you will be the one to write the plan, but together you guys will go and present it to government. You present it to the lawmakers. You present it. Look, let's be clear. If we don't fix the ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nigeria, the rest of the world will eat us for lunch, as they've been doing for many years. Because today, the world has become a global, flat, borderless environment. Today, it is possible for me to just, through my phone, without leaving my house, I can go on Amazon and quite a few other websites. I can buy anything, and with my just keying in my card details, right there in my house without leaving my house, some entrepreneur in the United States or some other part of the world will sell, make money, and deliver the product to me in my house in Nigeria. Which tells me that if every other entrepreneur is still playing, you're playing 10-10, and you're thinking that, oh, this is about Nigeria. Listen, the world has become a flat, borderless place. Today, more transactions are going outside Nigeria than the ones we're doing within Nigeria. And if the way that people have enjoyed the quality of service and the experience of buying, if it's too difficult for you to buy in Nigeria or get good service or get good products, then naturally people will follow it. No matter how much you want to say, oh, we're giving our money to the rest of the world. The reason why people will buy in Nigeria has got to be more than just being patriotic. It's got to be because the quality of the products that we have in Nigeria are world class. The experience of buying those products and enjoying the service are world class. When we have world class experience, not only will we be able to get the attention of our own customers here, but more importantly, we would also be able to sell on the global stage and earn the foreign exchange that we need. So guys, please understand, excellence is an important thing, but more importantly, an entire value system. So I close my conversation, and I hope that it's been useful to you, but I close my conversation with you by talking about 10 value statements that I have lived by, I have trained many entrepreneurs by, and I'll take them in less than 5 minutes. The first one is, and you can help me type this out, number 1, make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. Every entrepreneur who seeks to make a positive impact is always looking for opportunities to make things better, to always make people better. And in those opportunities, you will find problems, and you will come up with creative ideas that will make those things better. Every time you make a positive impact, you make things better. It's that simple. So every time an entrepreneur says, I will make a positive impact on everyone I meet and everywhere I go, it means that that kind of person is always out there with a solution mindset. When they see problems, they're excited. It's an opportunity for them, because now it's an opportunity for them to make a positive impact. But that takes me to the second one. I will be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. So positive impact is the first value system. The second one is solution provider. And as a solution provider, you're constantly saying, how do I turn this problem into a solution and create value whilst I do that? As you know, solution providers don't complain. They contribute. That's what they do. They contribute. They create ideas, they contribute. The third one is that, as we said, you have to build an organizational culture that sets the benchmark for the industry. So the third one I'm going to say is, I will be a role model worthy of emulation. And an entrepreneur who understands that you're a role model is one who easily transfers the level of personal excellence to become corporate excellence. Why? Because if you're a role model to your staff, all of them will want to be like you. They would arrive at work at the time you arrive. They will deliver the level of excellence that you deliver. They will soon begin to knot their tie like you if you knot ties. They will soon begin to do their makeup like yours if they do their, you will find out that the way you talk will soon become the way your organization, the people talk to themselves and talk to the customers. So it's important that you must, number 3, be a role model worthy of emulation. Number 4, you must be your best in all you do, particularly the things you're naturally good at. So be the best. And to be the best means that you have to commit to a high level of excellence. Don't just do it well enough. Don't just make it all right. Compare with the best in the world and be better than it. Be your best. Give your best. What is the point of making a product that is fantastic and then the packaging is rubbish? Make sure that your product is fantastic, the packaging is fantastic, the marketing is fantastic, merchandising is fantastic, the experience of buying is amazing. Be your best. Give your best. Especially to the things that you're naturally good at. Why? Because when you work hard on something you're naturally good at, you become great at it. But when you work on something you're not interested in, you're not passionate, the best you can become is good at it. So let every entrepreneur look inside and find the place of your passion. The fifth one is that you must do the right thing. And we found many people who had great business ideas, but because they were looking to cut corners, they forgot that shortcuts cut you short. Get to do things right. Your staff are watching you. They listen to your phone calls. Every time you inflate a contract, your staff will inflate the cost of you doing business. What goes around comes around. Let your staff know what you stand for. A few years ago, I met a gentleman at a conference, and he said to me, Fela, my organization wanted to give you a contract for one of your books. We wanted to buy about, I can't remember, maybe about 10,000 copies of your book. And we had engaged one of your staff, and your staff said that the book was 2,500 naira. And my organization said, yes, but we want you to inflate the price to 6,000 naira. But we will pay your organization 3,000 naira per book. So you guys want 2,500. We'll pay you 3,000 naira. But we want you to inflate it to 6,000. He said, your staff said never. We're not even going to do it. He said, no, just tell your boss that this is the opportunity. My staff refused to talk to me about it. Did not take it, did not further it. Said he was so angry that he said, if I had your boss's number, I would call him because it's an opportunity. He said, my staff said, I don't need to have my boss in this conversation. I know the values that we have as an organization. We will not do it. My staff did not even tell me that she rejected something that was like that. Because my staff knows my standards on anything that has to do with corruption, and more importantly, the things that have to do with integrity. You can't even bring that conversation up in a staff meeting. You are out of the door. How dare you suggest that we should inflate a contract in the organization? But that personal value is what has become a corporate value, and that has to happen for you. Get your people to do the right thing. They must value time and make the best use of it. Any organization that does not value time will deliver products late, will deliver reports late, will never be trusted and never build a good brand experience. But that usually starts with the entrepreneur. If you value time, your staff will value time. If you deliver on time, your staff will deliver on time. And then care and show respect. Number 7, care and show respect to all through your words and your actions. If you're someone who cares about other people and shows respect, your staff will care about their customers and show respect to them. They'll care about each other and show respect. And soon, that will become the kind of brand experience that the industry will have. And as a nation, we need to have businesses that care and show respect. A lot of the transactions, people don't like buying from Nigeria. Some people will save for 50 weeks to go and spend abroad for 2 weeks of vacation because they want to enjoy the experience of buying. But if we begin to drive care and respect into the service culture of a nation, we'll do well. Number 8, you must be willing to build a legacy, starting today and every day. A great legacy. The greatest legacy you can leave is a good brand and an institution for the next generation. The greatest legacy you can leave is a nation that is thriving more for the next generation than it was for you. Each and every generation has this challenge. How do we leave the next generation a better nation than the nation we inherited from our parents? That legacy, legacy of a good brand, that legacy of a solid institution is something you must leave behind. Number 9, you must live a life of integrity and honor. Like I said, when your staff see integrity in you, they will become people of integrity, or they will leave. And when you find people who are not people of integrity, you let them go. It is easier to teach a skill than to teach a value. So first you look for people who have the similar values to yours and teach them the skills that will help them to deliver. But when you find people whose values are not in alignment with yours, you let them go quickly from the organization. Give them a chance to learn. Let them know the standards. Let them know the organizational culture. When they violate it, you let them go. Because you have to be found to be upright. Some of the biggest organizations in the world have disappeared because of the lack of integrity. Enron, Arthur Andersen, I can go on and on and on. Too many people have stolen their organizations dry. Many people can, when they are mentioning, when you look at their CV is filled with something called career vacuum, because you cannot see the organizations they used to work in. Why? Because they have stolen the organization into oblivion. The organization has died. Why can we still, how is it possible that Nigeria will have 4 refineries and we are importing petrol and we produce crude? Because people have, over time, the lack of integrity will cost the organization its existence. Integrity can cost them a business or two, a transaction or two. I'm going to say that again. Whilst integrity can cost your organization 1 or 2 transactions, like the one that I told you that we did not take, but the lack of it will cost your business its life, its existence. Too many businesses have died for lack of integrity. Do the right thing. Be a person of integrity. Don't give what you will not want anybody to discover that you gave. Don't say something that you do not want somebody in your organization to know you said. Don't encourage gossiping within your organization. But it starts with you saying the right things, because your staff are watching you talk to your friends on the phone. The way you talk on the phone will become the way they talk within the organization. Lastly, make your family, your organization, your industry, and your God proud. Make your family, your organization, your industry, and your God proud. And I promise you, if you do the first 9 things that I said, the 10th one will be almost natural. It will happen naturally. If you make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go, if you're a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved, if you're a role model worthy of emulation, if you're your best and you do your best, you give your best in all you do, particularly the things you're naturally good at, if you do the right thing at all times, regardless of who is doing the wrong thing, if you value time and make the best use of it, if you care and show respect to all through your words and your actions, if you consciously create and build a great legacy starting now, today, and every day, if you live a life of integrity and honor, you will make your family, your nation, your organization, your industry, you will make your God proud. So, in summary, these are the 4 components of building an ecosystem: personal value system and the personal component, the corporate culture, the industry collaborative culture, and the way that you go and influence your general culture. When you have those 4 cultures working in collaboration, you will have people starting businesses, growing businesses, thriving. And as you have more people thriving, you will solve problems, you will create wealth, you will create jobs, and you will create economic prosperity for all. Great nations have understood this, and that's what they do. God bless you guys. Thank you. I did it in just
Oh
under
my
1 hour.
God.
Like 59 minutes.
Yeah, you did a great job. 59 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Awesome. You can't hear me? Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me
You're
now?
cracking up. I'm not sure why.
Okay. So sorry about that. Network issues. Can you hear me clearly now?
Fortunately, this was how, well, I don't know what happened the last time.
Can you hear me now?
I suspect you said
Okay.
something like, "Can you hear me?"
He's
now?"
not hearing me
But
clearly.
it's breaking.
Okay.
That was what was happening with Taiwo when Taiwo was speaking to me initially before you came on. So I don't know whatever they did
Okay,
at that time is what I hope they can do now.
Okay, yeah, we were, can you hear me, sir?
Thank you, Dorcas. Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you.
Mr. Durotoye cannot hear me in the studio, so we need to.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm so
just
sorry. I don't know. Yes.
Just a minute.
Yes. Fantastic.
You can hear me now. Oh,
I
awesome.
can hear you now. Perfectly.
Awesome. Wow. In fact, you've made my job so easy because I don't even need to ask you that many questions. You've already answered literally all the things I wanted to ask you about core values, personal leadership. You have said it all. You have said it all. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not promise and underdeliver. We actually underpromised and over-delivered with this keynote presentation from Mr. Fela Durotoye. It has been in-depth, it has been inspirational, it has also been confrontational because at the end of the day, we need to be able to look inwards and ask ourselves, are we worthy of being owners of any businesses or even leaders in society and at large? So I want to ask you, Mr. Fela Durotoye, what are the things that inspires you to keep staying on the straight and narrow? Because we understand that many people go through so many different temptations that allows them to compromise on their core values, especially when it comes to integrity and also staying on the point whereby they don't take bribes, they act the way they want their followers to also act or the employees. So what are the things that inspires you and you've anchored your core beliefs on that has helped you to maintain the kind of personal brand and integrity that other people can emulate?
Well, I think, again, it comes back to my personal values. And at the core of my values is the desire to make my family and my God proud.
Okay.
It's been one of those things that I guess was drilled into me from as far back as a child, always saying, look, you remember as a Durotoye. But let me give you two very practical examples, very quick ones.
Okay.
My grandfather, right, was in his days held two very critical positions at some point in time. Number one, he held the position of let me say the Western Educational Bursary, Educational Scholarship Administrator for the Western region, which means that everyone who went from the Western region abroad on government scholarship literally sat in front of my grandfather, Michael David Afolabi Durotoye, and he interviewed them, he got to it, and then he became like their mentor. He personally signed off on every scholarship for everyone from the Western region for a period of time. My father, his son, this is the son of my grandfather, my own father, graduated from UI with a first class. My grandfather will not sign off on a scholarship for his son, even though his son graduated with the first class, because he does not want anybody to question his integrity. So it's not that his son did not deserve it, but the fact that there could have been a conflict between a decision he would make at work and the interpretation of whether my father got a benefit because his own father was the one signing off on the checks, and somebody can one day question my grandfather's integrity. My grandfather said no. How did that stop my father from becoming a great scientist, genetic scientist? No. My father still eventually became this great, scientist that traveled all across the world. But my grandfather's integrity was never called into question. Example number one. Example number two, very quickly. My grandfather was then made the administrator of the Bodija government reservation area. If anybody knows Ibadan, you probably know Bodija, right? Bodija is a huge area. It's almost like the Ikoyi of Lagos. But he was the one who was allocating every plot of land especially for government workers, and he would also personally sign an indemnity that they should get a housing loan. They would build it for them, and then over time they would pay back through their salaries. So my grandfather was allocating and getting the loans, the housing loans that will build the houses for the people, and they will pay back. Guess what? My grandfather never allocated a plot of land to himself in Bodija, even though he was the one signing it up for everybody else, because he never wanted one day for anybody to question that he got a personal benefit of doing the work that he was supposed to do. Now, that is the kind of story that I've grown up hearing. I can tell you stories about my father, but so in a sense, I have a name to defend, a name to protect. But beyond that, as a Christian who is, and I don't know whether it's just to say as a Christian, but as a child of God, who has a deep relationship with God, I had made a covenant with my God that every day I would try to live to make sure that when he sees me, hears my thoughts, or just sees what I'm doing, he will say, "Well done, my good and faithful son. This is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased." So anything I will do that will not please God, I don't want to have a hand in it. Whether anybody sees it, anybody doesn't see it. Whether they discover it, they don't discover it. I'm also one of those people who believes that my desk is an altar unto God, that my work is an offering unto God, and the quality of my work will determine whether it's a sweet-smelling savor unto God. So excellence is a core value for me as a way of pleasing God. So when you realize that it's really about my family and my God, that's what truly keeps me rooted. You know, when I was going to run for office in the 2019 elections, I called my family together and I promised my children. I said to them, I promise you guys that I will never do on this journey anything that I will not expect you to do or I have told you never to do. I said, and I promise you that I will never have a secret that will one day have to be revealed. I will not do anything, say anything, cut any deal that somebody will have to come and find out. And you can imagine that on the presidential journey in politics, oh my God, every day was a temptation. But those values and the promises that I had made to my family kept me grounded. And that's what it is. So I ask you, who are you building the company for? Who are you trying to impress? And if you let your family and your God guide the way that you take your decisions, I think you'll be all right, each and every one of you.
Wow. When you were talking about all the things that has led to shaping your character and your integrity values, I just, a popular proverb came to mind that a good name is better than riches, because it's obvious that the kind of people that were integral in your life exemplified a lifestyle whereby they refuse to cut corners. They refuse to do things that would damage their reputation and the name in the order to just make money. And that influenced you personally to stay on the straight and narrow, even if other people were going to bring all kinds of deals your way that could make you a billionaire, but yet you are.
I'll give you a very practical one because of what you said. Very quick one, Marola. A few years ago, I was approached by an institution that wanted me to run a very large project, training across Nigeria in 774 local governments across Nigeria over a period of 7 weeks. And they said to me, you are the only one that we have found that has the expertise, the reputation, and the capacity to gather facilitators in all of these places, because they wanted us to be able to do 100 local governments in 1 week, a few years ago.
Wow.
But they said to me, how much will this thing cost? We did the costing, everything came to about 1.3 billion. They said, fantastic. But you know what we want you to do? We want you to send us a quote at 5 billion naira.
Wow.
And we will give you 2 billion naira. So you are the one that talked about billion. Guess the name of the quote. Guess the name, Merola. Guess the name of the title of the training they wanted me to do.
Integrity.
Ethical leadership. How How do you go and do ethical leadership training and you have
Honestly.
already compromised on everything you are going to go? And they said the reason we want you is that you can do it. You have the reputation of integrity,
Wow.
which we need, and you know that you have the capacity. So you
Yet
want
they
me
want
to
you to
take
compromise.
that reputation. Now, I promise you, do you know what? Before we could even get the project, and I said to them I wasn't going to do it, but they didn't know whether we were going to do it. Before I had even rejected it, they had already moved 420 million naira out of the coffers of the allocation that was going to do it. And then I had said to them, I have nothing to do with this. So EFCC went and ran around 6 of them together. They put it in the newspapers, but Mirella, do you know why you don't know anything about that? Even though it was in the newspapers, because the other people didn't have any name. If Fela Durotoye's name had been there, 2 things would have happened. You will never have forgotten. And number 2, I will not be speaking at this summit.
Absolutely.
Because nobody would have forgotten that, oh, is it not that fella that time they went to where they were trying to go and pump it up. So my point is this, your name is a lasting legacy that you have to give to your children. And let me put it this way, the way you live your life will either turn your name into a padlock or a key for opening opportunities for your children. If you live right, your name will become a key that name will be a padlock. If you do wrong, your name will be a padlock that locks your children out of opportunities.
Wow. All I can say is thank God for your core value system that you refuse to compromise, even when tempted with money that would still wither away anyways, while your name will stay
that money
forever.
Would have finished by now.
Exactly. It's not going to last
by now.
So I want to ask you a question on human capital, which is one of the greatest assets we have in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, yet we're not utilizing strongly. What is one of the reasons that we have people that are under living their potentials? Because many individuals, I believe God has created everyone with so many potential, but we are not utilizing the potentials of the human capital we have in Nigeria. Can you please share some light as to what you think might be the reasons for this?
All right, to a large extent, there are two major things I would say. The first one is that as a people, we have lost the value that actually truly brings human capital to human resources. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. In 2001, Bill Clinton came to Nigeria and addressed the joint session of the National Assembly, so the Senate and the House of Reps. One of the things that he said was that human capital is the most valuable asset any nation can have in the 21st century. And then he described human capital as made up of 2 components: human resource, which is population, and intellectual capital. Can you still hear me? So
yes, I can hear you, sir.
Intellectual capital, when added to human resource, is what makes human capital. So the fact that you have a large population does not mean you have a great human capital. You have human resource, but it has not yet been translated into human capital until you build intellectual capital. At the foundation of that is education, whether it's education of the mind, education of the hands, skills development, education of values, and all of that. You have to build a viable educational system that turns your people into highly productive human beings so that you can get value from them, and that is where you build the capital. So why hasn't this happened over time? Well, number one, because certain rulers who have ruled Nigeria over the past maybe 50 years or so have themselves risen to power without having to have developed themselves. So you will realize that you saw at the beginning when people like Obafemi Awolowo, who went to school at such great cost. They were born into poverty, but through the education and all of that, they found themselves going and becoming great. Those kind of people were the ones who valued education and made sure that free education was accessible to all. That developed the Western region We saw that the Eastern region also developed greatly at that. Now, when those kind of leaders were passed on, and then this, there was an incursion of military rule, young people who had not even become true leaders, right? Those guys didn't value education the way that them Obafemi Awolowo and all of that did. And that generation has still continued till today to be in charge. That's why if you look at the education budget or the Nigerian federal budget, only 7% of the budget goes to education. A large whooping sum typically goes to defense and all of that. And the budget of any nation or any family is a reflection of their values. Whatever you value, you put more money to. So we have over the years undervalued education. And so that itself has been a problem. Secondly, as entrepreneurs, we have been scared of developing and training people because of the fear of the fact that they will leave after we have trained them. And so to a large extent, we are taking half-baked or unbaked, raw people, bringing them in, and we are using them to accomplish our goals, not building them to accomplish our goals. Great entrepreneurs and great leaders build people who will get the job done. They don't just use people to get the job done. Listen, the people will come, yes, and they will go, yes. And the question is, oh, Fela, should I build them? What if I invest in them and they go? I ask them, what if you don't invest in their training and they stay? What will happen to your organization? They will kill your organization. That's why we're not seeing many second and third generations of businesses in Nigeria, because we're not investing in building the people, building their values, building their knowledge, building their attitude, building their skill set. We must do that. So, lastly, we must become strategic. Organizations must begin to invest in schools, universities, secondary schools, primary schools, knowing fully well that if we are building an organization to last, then your next MDs in the next generation, now is the time to start investing in them. Now is the time to start investing in the schools that you went to, that your children are going to. Spend some time, at least 1 hour every term or every year. Go and speak to the students, inspire them, tell them what to do, share your values with them as an entrepreneur. Tell them what you're doing. Get them to dream of one day becoming truly successful value creators in an organization, in their country. Mentor them. All of these things are the things that build human capital. Training and development, mentoring, coaching, all of these things, personal development. Invest in it as an organization, as a person. And then hopefully one day we will have a government that truly values education. There should be nothing less than 30% of the national budget that is attached to education. The nations that do that usually they grow. We've seen it. We know it. But one day it will happen in our nation.
Amen to that. And I just have to summarize.
Whatever it is that they did that not right the last time seems to have gone off.
You will keep on. It will come back. You will soon be able to hear me, sir.
I can barely hear you now. Sorry.
No problem. So I want to be able to say that this has been amazing.
I can't hear you. I'm not sure what they did right the last time.
Audio.
Okay, good. Fantastic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Awesome. You've said it all, sir. You've said it all. Any nation that does not invest in its people, which starts from education from the youngest age, would always have a deficit in human capital that is utilizing its potential to the fullest. This has been an amazing session with you, sir. You have really delivered an entire masterclass, I believe, for the entire nation to go back and sit down and rewatch so that they can learn what we need to do going forward in Nigeria as a nation, as individuals, and as well as company owners, because we truly, truly, truly need to become better leaders so that we can build better companies and also build a better nation. I would like to invite the host of the Startup Summit to just say thank you to you live, because this has been amazing and we truly appreciate you for being here and sharing so much golden nuggets that if we were to pay you money, I don't think we can afford it. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are just joining the summit, please give a virtual welcome to the host of this summit that has allowed you all to participate for free, Mr. Taiwo Adepoju, the startup specialist.
The master. All right. And this beyond Madam Merola described is not just a master class, it's the master's class.
All right. And the reality is, I can't overemphasize that all this journey has been nurtured by you, someone. I remember some of those moments where we had a session and you told me, Taiwo, this is audacious, but you must continue. And that the moment that you go on, it's all about you, you would have missed it. And we went back to the drawing board. Yes, clearly also took us on a different dimension. I love the fact that you also challenged us and you say it without doubt that this name, and to first beyond the challenge, is that this name, the startup specialist, was after the Speak for Gold session, where we had an encounter night. And somewhere along the line, I haven't, said on some of the words you had said, the word dropped. And so people said, which one is chat shop? There's a chat shop specialist. Chat shop specialist. I said, which one is startup specialist? But somehow, all right, it's clear that we have the startup specialist and we have the master of the Speak for Gold also here, supporting and lending voice to the startup specialist at the Startup Summit Nigeria. It's really an honor. I'm deeply, full of appreciation. I can't even describe it in mere words, but this truly is much more than gold for me. And I'm sure everybody has been rapidly tied. And those that will be hearing this session afterwards, I'm sure they've been greatly blessed. Master, the ladder, the platform, we thank you for what you are doing in the personal development space, and clearly also how you have also enabled us to be able to curate our message and indeed who we are. I salute you, sir. I thank you.
I'm so proud of you, Taiwo. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for what you do. You know, the journey ahead is great. You and I have seen it together. It's an amazing journey. And what you're doing is really what's going to lead to Africa's transformation, not just Nigeria, as we build successful businesses that become institutions right from the get-go. God bless you. I wish you great success. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the honor of your invitation. And thank you to Madam Merola for such an amazing engagement, introduction, and then, of course, the questions. I'm so proud of you guys. Well done. I hope everyone has enjoyed tonight or this afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Fela Durotoye. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can give virtual ovation, standing ovation, whatever you can do from your sitting rooms, offices, wherever you are in your car, please send all the love to Mr. Fela Durotoye.
I have one little request, though. I have a little request.
Go ahead, sir.
Is it okay? I usually like to get a feedback of what people are taking away. Like, even if it's for just 1 minute, please. That would give me almost a greater fulfillment than even anything else. So I appreciate the thanks. I really honestly do. But if people can please type out, what are some of the things that you believe that you heard today that helped you, that in your mind's eye, that you believe that you're taking it away and it will change everything for you. I would love to know if anybody is still out there and if they can still put it up in the comment section. I would really appreciate it. Just even if it's for 30 seconds or 1 minute, I would like to know that, if you don't mind.
All right. So you have heard it from the horse's mouth himself. He wants to get the feedback because it's not just about listening to what he said. What have you assimilated?
All right.
And
so
you
somebody
are
just asked the question around values. Can somebody please type this out? My personal creed at gmail.com. My personal creed, CREED, but no space. MY personal, my personal creed at gmail.com. Okay? mypersonalcreed@gmail.com. If you send an email to that, if you send from your email account, it will give you an auto response that has the 10 value statements that I said. You will get it on your phone. You download it on your phone, on your laptop, on your computer, and then you can recite it for 10 days until it becomes a part of you. You can make it a part of your organizational framework. It's yours. So I just want you, yes, that's it. Thank you, Damola. mypersonalcreed@gmail.com. Just send an empty email. Just send an email. Even if it has nothing in it, it will auto-respond to that email, and you can download that thing. Sorry, I just saw somebody who had asked for that, and I thought that it would be good too.
No, it's not a problem. Thank you so much, because anything people can get that would help them to remember the core values that they need to imbibe in their life, it's the best gift that you can give to anyone. So I want to say a big thank you to you once again, sir. We wish you all the very best, and our love to your family as well. And please do have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
So ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the keynote speech by Mr. Fela Durotoye, and in exactly 2 minutes, we've got another panel session, which is about the way forward for Nigerian systems and startups. So please check for the link on our Instagram page, Strength Africa, or if you have already registered and you are on our Telegram page, you will find the link there so that you can join that session, which is going to start in exactly 2 minutes. It has been a great journey so far, starting from yesterday to today with the keynote address from Ini Abimbola, and then all the different panel sessions on how to grow your business, legal matters, and now a personal message from Fela Durotoye to all Nigerians that want to indeed build a legacy that can outlive them. I know that you've been blessed so far. I know you've gained so much information. Please share your insights, your takeaways with us, and do us the courtesy of sending the link to your friends as well so that they can join the last stream of the day, because today is the finale of the Startup Summit Nigeria edition. And once this last session is over, we are done. And then the next thing that you need to know is that you need to be part of our community on Telegram so that you can get further information about the masterclasses and things that are going on. So I want to bid you all a beautiful afternoon and see you on the other side with the new link for the last session of the day. My name is Madame Derola. I am the Startup Summit Anchor, and it's been a pleasure having all of you here. And I hope you join us for the last session of today. Take care and bye, everybody.